Welcome to another Wichita's Biz That Is on KGPT. I'm Tim Witzman, president of the Wichita Independent Business Association. And today we have Steve Fisher from VR Business Brokers. And we'll get to you explaining that in a little bit, Steve. Why don't we start out and give us some background? Who's Steve Fisher? Where did he come from?
Steve Fisher is a Kansas State graduate. Started my background.
Terrible game we had against Auburn. Oh, that hurt.
It was a hard one to watch when you saw
God.
what could have been. It definitely was. Actually started out in the manufacturing background. My degree is actually in food science. Spent the first 15 years of my professional life in a manufacturing background for a local dairy manufacturing company. Rose to the position of plant manager. And I think it took that long for me to realize that I was destined or meant to do something different. We acquired our first business. It's been roughly 15 years ago, the old Wichita Food Services. Moved in, kind of put our tweaks, our touches on that, acquired our second business. Going through the process of buying a couple businesses, selling a couple businesses, just found out that I like the process of buying and selling and
the deal.
Yeah, I like the deal as much as I did anything else. And when it came time to sell the second business, was looking at different opportunities and just kind of saw the handwriting on the wall that, hey, this is something that I would enjoy doing, and that maybe I'm a little biased, but I thought I might be kind of good at. And it's been a really fun and rewarding experience.
When you were a kid, were you pointed toward what you did at K-State and degree you got, or was that something you got to in college, or what?
No, actually, when I was a kid, I loved to cook, and I don't know how I ended up.
We've already had a chef on, so
okay,
sorry.
I can't do that. Ended up being a food science major because while you can be successful being a cook, you have to work nights, you have to work weekends, you have to work nights on weekend. So what's the next best alternative? Well, let's be the guy that helps get everything made. Okay. So it evolved into that. When I thought about changing my majors, one of my instructors and advisors said, "What do you want to work for the rest of your life?" And he said, "Because people always got to eat." Yeah. And so that caused me to stick with it, but it took me about 15 years to realize that maybe that wasn't the right niche for me. And
well, was it because you wanted to own a company, or was it because it was just not the right industry?
I think I like being my own boss. I think had more to do with it than anything. I mean, I got to a level in industry where I was about as high as I could go and was still not actually responsible for all my actions. You always had to answer to someone. The nice part about being a business owner, a small business owner, is ultimately the buck stops with you. And as a business broker, I'm still the owner of the office. I like that. You know, and I get to interact with a lot of people that have the same mindset, and I really enjoy that, and I enjoy those relationships.
Okay, now I'll go back to the question I didn't pick up on at the beginning. That is, what is VR Business Broker? I mean, most people are not going to know what that means.
VR Business Brokers, I'm part of a franchise. Corporate office is based out of Fort Lauderdale. They provide us with the guidance and support to help people sell their businesses. Ultimately, I'm a local business broker that helps business owners transition from ownership into the role of the previous owner. Help the prospective buyer transfer from the entrepreneur who wants to own a business to the person who owns a business. So we work with business owners to determine a value, to get emotionally prepared, just to do the things that they need to do to get ready.
My experience is that business owners don't know much about selling their business.
That's true. And I can tell you that from firsthand experience as someone that owned a business, someone that's worked with
They're good at doing
with
it,
brokers.
But they just don't have a sense of how do you position it, and they don't understand true value often.
That's true. Most
or how
of them,
other people would value it.
They're phenomenal at running their businesses. And you're right, nobody looks at the business the same way that we do. And our role is to help them position themselves. Okay, here's what a buyer is going to see. Here's what you need to have in place.
Okay. Let's say you go in and you're talking to a seller.
Okay.
What are the first things you're looking at that you're trying to learn in order to be able to do what you do?
Been doing this long enough that we kind of break it down to the core as quick as we can. Is there something here that a buyer is going to be interested in acquiring? And why would
Okay,
a
so the
buyer
first question
want
is
to acquire?
there anything here or not?
Right, yeah, that's the first question. And if the answer to that is no, what can we do, or actually, you know, Mr. Seller, what can you do over the course of the next 1, 2, or 3 years to position yourself so that you can get that?
Okay. And if that's a go, then what else would you be looking at?
The relationships that are in place, the records, the accountability. How easy is it going to be for someone to come in and take this business over? Is it turnkey? You know, basically what I tell people is your business structured so that I can buy it. And I use myself as an example. I'd like to think I've got a fairly level head on my shoulders. I can pick up on things that are pretty routine, that are pretty well structured. Is your business set up so that I can come in with a reasonable amount of training and expectation take over your business?
Okay. What might be a common mistake people make? And I'm not sure we'll have time to finish this whole story, but if they're wanting to sell, what are the kinds of things that they just have wrong in their heads?
What it's going to sell for. By far the most common.
I would have expected that.
And that's not unique to Wichita.
No.
I mean, I'm a member of organizations across the country, across the world, and that is a common theme. We meet with people, and I want $2 million for my business. You know, and how much you make? Well, I'm making about $50,000-$60,000 a year. And God bless them for wanting it, but the reality is that it's not going to happen.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to not going to happen for just a couple of seconds as we take a break on Wichita's Biz That Is, and we'll be right back with Steve Fisher.